Good Friday afternoon, evening, wherever you may be. Victor, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm excellent.
You are
As
in
always.
your bat cave, right?
Yeah, I'm in a basement now. Yes, I
Yes.
am.
And it's the basement at your wherever you're at, your vacation
My
home.
vacation home.
In,
Exactly,
in the
exactly.
Maldives, right? You're in the Maldives. I'll be right with you.
Better,
Better than the
much
Maldives.
better. Yeah,
Okay.
because I can get here within an hour drive, and
Oh,
Maldives I
okay.
would use like 2 weeks a year.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. How's everybody doing? My name is Darren Pope. Again, over here to my left, your right is Victor Farsick. We're the co-host of a podcast called DevOps Paradox. And on Fridays, we do this thing called DevOps Paradox Live. We talk about things of the week and Victor living in his cave. This one really is a cave since it's a basement.
Yeah, it is a basement with bare walls and nothing else.
Except you have done some cleanup since last week. You've,
Painted, put it some RGB colors, and that thing behind my
yeah,
head.
that's very cool. So why don't we talk about, and for everybody that's here with us live, thanks for joining us live today. If you've got questions or comments, you can drop them in the chat and we'll get to them as we go through. But let's talk about what I thought was a pretty fun, by the way, don't forget your drink. I already forgot it. We need more silos. More silos.
Did you think that we would ever have such a sentence?
In the world that was 2020, yeah, I pretty much believe it, that we need more silos. Why not? I mean, it's a good thing, right? Silos are great. Or are they?
I guess you need to listen to the podcast to find out.
Yes. Anyway, that was 118. Came out on Wednesday at 6 a.m. Eastern. Just like pretty much every week. I say pretty much just in case I miss another one at some point in the future. So if you haven't listened to this one yet about silos, go listen to it. Over in the podcast channel in the Slack Workspace, you can go and comment about it there as well. The big news for the week is that Kubernetes 122 actually shipped. It's here, finally. We've talked about it in the past two shows. So not the last 2 weeks, but the past two shows. This is always a great time when a new release of Kubernetes comes out because it buys us 3 shows.
And you know that the next one is coming 3 months from now.
Yes. Is that still true? Oh, yeah, it is true. Okay. I was thinking
It's
about
4 times a year,
fourth.
right?
It is 4 times a year, but they recently changed support to support the past 4 or the past 5. I've lost track now. Anyway, we won't go into the details because we've talked about the details of what's going on here. But I do want to take a look at a couple of the things that are in this post. I'm going to get through again, we've talked about all the things that happen. So I'm going to go through the changes and the graduated to stables. Again, we've talked about all these things like PSP is gone. There's a new pod security admission. We've had stable things happen. You know, we've gone through all these, so go watch the previous shows. But let's get into the bottom part of this. This is what I thought was interesting. Big, huge thank you. Memorial page. There was Piyush Gupta who passed away earlier this year, so it's a good thing here. Here was the release logo, which I forgot they do release logos. That's commitment there.
Oh, yeah.
But here's what I wanted to show us. CNCF 27 new organizations in May. 27, so basically an org a day. The puzzle board gets bigger and bigger.
They should soon start listing who is not in CNCF.
Not see it'd be shorter, I think.
Exactly.
Here's what I thought was interesting. In the 122 cycle, which ran for 15 weeks, we saw contributions from 1,063 companies and 2,054 individuals. That's measurable.
So if somebody still if there is a person, I hope there isn't, but if there is a person that still says Kubernetes, I don't know, is this thing to stay? That information alone should be enough.
Yeah. A few things about ecosystem, but I do want to. What was the other one? Okay, so this was the other thing too. There is going to be a release webinar on September 7th, so basically a month from now. Seems a little long to me, doesn't it to you? I wouldn't expect same day or even the next day, but a month?
Depends how you look at it. It's 12 days before KubeCon.
Oh.
No, I'm mixing KubeCon with another event. Okay, few weeks before KubeCon.
Yeah, because KubeCon is the 12th, so it's a month before KubeCon.
Yeah.
Assuming that it's still happening in LA. We'll see.
We'll see. I have my ticket bought. It's non-refundable.
Oh, non-refundable.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm cheap, and then I pay more for not being able to use it.
Yep. I thought there was one more piece of information. So it was the velocity. I wanted to show these two numbers. That to me, that was actually a little breathtaking. 1,000 companies. 1,000 companies. It's
amazing. It's absolutely. If you told me what was 5 years ago, that we would ever, not today, but ever reach that level of collaboration, contributions, working together, everybody behind a single platform and all that jazz, I would say that person is clinically insane.
But yet here we are.
Here we are.
Okay. So 122 is out. Are you going to be upgrading it this weekend to 122? Are you?
No, maybe the weekend.
I know you. I'm talking about. I'm talking to everybody else watching. I'm not talking about you.
Upgrading which one? 117?
Well, so 17 will go to 18.
Yes, it's
17 is
right time to upgrade your 117 clusters.
Right, and we should be. I haven't seen. Normally, Amazon puts out their Lifecycle, and that should be coming out pretty soon. I'm interested to see what's going on with that. I actually don't have any Amazon news today, which is sort of interesting. Wait, there was one thing here. Run a local kind. Okay. Kelsey is still getting Kubernetes the hard way out of that. And he's not even doing that anymore. Okay. New Kubernetes. So along with Kubernetes being released this week, which means now we got to come up with something to talk about for the next 8-9 weeks. Would you trust the NSA to help you harden your Kubernetes cluster? Because
I might trust their findings, but not them doing anything. So as long as they don't have access to my cluster, but they have tips, I'm all in for it.
Yep. So if you're not from the US, the NSA is the National Security Agency. And then CISA is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. They released Kubernetes hardening guidance today. And it was a PDF. I'm assuming you can get to it anywhere in the world. I don't know. I'm making that assumption. I liked how they put it here. Kubernetes is commonly targeted for 3 reasons. Data theft. Okay, everybody is data theft. It doesn't matter if it's Kubernetes or not. Computational power theft. Read crypto mining.
Correct.
Primarily. And denial of service. Because if you've got a cluster that's configured correctly, depending on who you talk to, that can auto-scale up and down with no limits, then denial of service, not against the cluster, but against other places, could be true.
Yeah, if you bomb your application and your application scales to infinity, then you know what happens.
Yep, so it's a PDF. It's actually not that super long. Initial release, in fact, they haven't even patched it since it came out this week. But if you have access to it, I would say go through this and put it up against how you have your cluster set up. It's not going to cost you anything. It's a free PDF. But the, where is it? We've got good pictures and supply chain risk. Of course, you can't say anything without talking supply chain today. Malicious threat actors. You know what? Whatever you think of government, to me, this is a pretty good use of taxpayer dollars. Because this is going to be about as, how can I say this, non-vendor specific as it can be.
I mean, to be honest, I get always surprised with things like that. I always somehow see governments as being very, laggards. And I'm not talking about US in general, right? And I always get surprised that, hey, government office released this. This is very pleasant surprise. That means that governments are more advanced than I thought. Good thing.
Yep. Like they even have a good picture, a container build workflow optimized with webhook and emission controllers. Gee, that sort of makes sense and looks familiar, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Hang on. I'm going to go dark for a second. Okay, I'm back.
Are you hiding from NSA?
Yes,
Okay.
I am. I had to sneeze. And I don't have, I do have a mute all button. Never mind. It's been chilly here, meaning it's August in North Carolina, and normally it's in the 90s, and it's been in the 70s. So some of the trees are starting to put out pollen that they're not used to putting out pollen again. Anyway, long PDF. Here, let me just slam it to the bottom and see what we got here. Complete. So 52 pages. So read a page a day for a year and you'll be good to go. Lots of examples, appendices, just why not take a look at it? A little bit of light reading for the weekend. Or not. Okay, so NSA. You're going to let them harden your cluster? Maybe not them, but take their advice.
Yeah, don't let them harden your cluster, but take their advice.
Speaking of taking advice, OpenTelemetry logged the OpenTelemetry has been getting a lot of love recently. What do you think of it?
OpenTelemetry is an amazing effort, effort. We all need it, really. Any kind of type of standardization on an API level of something is having automatic default thumbs up from my side.
Yeah. And this just goes through, if you don't know what OpenTelemetry is, or you've just been hearing the buzzwords, this as a one-pager, albeit a very long one-pager, is really good. I did read through it all. I didn't consume it, but I did read through it all. And if you need just a one sheet to understand OpenTelemetry, right now this is it. So, I did a video a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember if it came out this week or last week, to where I was integrating OpenTelemetry with Jenkins. Right?
Oh, nice.
It was simple the way I did it. Of course, it's very hello world type level stuff I was doing. But it did give me some visualizations, not so much from the visualization, but from the timings of things happening. And that's the key part, is understanding, I've got a bottleneck in this range of what's going on. It's like, can I trim that down any? Instead of just guessing, it's like, if the whole thing takes 10 seconds and I'm spending 8 seconds in this one place, can I trim that 8 seconds? Because I don't care about the other 2 seconds to begin with. And OpenTelemetry allows you to do it. I mean, it's the thing right now, I think. This was an interesting drawing or a flow. Draft, experimental, stable, deprecated. This doesn't have anything really to do with OpenTelemetry, but maturity cycles of software. Draft, experimental, stable, deprecated. Let's think about the applications that most of us actually build. How often do we actually get to deprecated?
With every new release?
Overall application. Not features, but overall application.
I mean, depends really whether it's an end user application
Right.
or it is application for developers, right? End user, you can say deprecated is every new release because you're not
Yep.
going to see the old releases ever again, unless something goes terribly wrong. Now, for deprecating applications for developers, then that's challenging. That very often never gets deprecated,
Yeah.
and that's sad.
Yeah. Moz brought up something going back to the previous thing we were talking about. Is there any organization providing security hardening guidelines for Kubernetes other than the NSA? I have not seen any. Not to the level that document was at. I've seen people talk about doing some basic hardening, but not to this level.
Yeah, I also haven't seen on that level. Kind of, you get tips, especially from security companies, like Snyk will give you tips and those and blah blah. But on that level or in that format, I haven't seen. I'm not following it deeply either, so
Yeah.
doesn't
You
mean
should
it
be.
doesn't exist.
You should be.
I should.
Based on your day job, you should be.
Oh, there are so many things that I should be.
Okay. Anyway, I want to go back to this life cycle here for just a second. Draft, experimental, stable, deprecated. You were talking about end user applications. What would happen if instead of us as application developers focusing on releases, we focused on developing with these words in mind? Just like the Kubernetes project and many other projects are doing now. Is that even possible?
I mean, if it's mostly based on APIs, and if you essentially if you break compatibility with previous releases, then you're going down the route of deprecated, meaning that you will not be able to support it for long.
Right. Moss has another question. What about Pixie? Isn't it crossed with OpenTelemetry? I don't know anything about Pixie, so that's
Me
my
neither.
bad.
Unless we're talking about fairy tales.
Let's see, OpenTelemetry. Because are we talking? Oh, that's the New Relic stuff, I guess.
I mean, I don't know it, but I'm guessing that everybody will have to support. It's not want to have to support OpenTelemetry.
Just like sort of you've got to be able to publish a Prometheus endpoint to be scraped.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So this is Pixie. I think we talked about Pixie at some point in the past. So yeah, it's an open source project from New Relic. We did talk about this, but I can't remember how long ago it was.
It was probably somebody else having a guest who talked. I don't recall ever trying it.
Yeah. So Pixie for service health, logging, infra health, canary analysis.
That's it. It goes to my to-do list now.
Yep. PixieLabs.ai. Oh, you're not writing it down. Never mind. PixieLabs.ai. In case you
I'll
watch this
find
back,
it.
Victor. Okay. Good question. Yeah, I noticed that too. It uses eBPF, which if you've never read any of Brendan Gregg's stuff about eBPF, grab an adult beverage before you start reading it. So anyway, OpenTelemetry. I think it's cool. I think arguments to say, well, no, all I really need is statsd. Why bother with OpenTelemetry is a bad idea right now.
Yeah, I mean, statsd cannot even begin to cover what we need today.
Yeah.
Not even close.
And since everybody seems to be producing stuff that's compatible with OpenTelemetry, you probably should be doing. Anyway, long post from Logs. And again, the links for everything that we were discussing today, if I don't forget Pixie, will be down below the description shortly after the show today. Because I actually have them ready just to be pasted in, except for the ones we just started. Okay. I had two things from GCP this week.
Okay.
One that just came out an hour ago, which most people won't care about unless you're really on GCP. But Secrets Manager, which isn't really new. Secrets Manager has been around for a long time in GCP, right?
Yeah.
But what is new is there's a free tier with it. Free as
Okay.
in free, not free as in free beer. So you get six secret versions, 3 rotation events, and then 10,000 API calls. It's small, right? It's not huge. But now
Just-
you can roll it in with Google Cloud Run and Cloud Functions.
Yeah. And I mean, free tiers are not supposed to be used anyway. Free tiers are always for you to have all the time in the world to figure out whether you want it in the first place.
Yep. They also increased the SLA up to 3 nines, 3.5 nines, we'll call it. That's starting to get up to actually usable. But here's the one that I thought was the best. It's now available in all regions.
Mm-hmm.
And with the replication policies, you can replicate where you want your secrets to go. That's big. That's actually beyond big. That's huge. Because now that makes it possible to define your secrets in a region, and you do all your CRUD type secret stuff in one region and then just publish it, replicate it out to everywhere else.
I mean, we're going towards a place in which there are no regions anymore, kind of like simply everything is global.
Correct. Let that sink in for just a second. There will be no more regions that we have to deal with. It's just global. It's like, well, you already have that in AWS today. Route 53 is, although, well, that's a bad example. But Route 53 from ordering a domain name is global. Technically, Route 53 is global too, but you have to be in a certain region in order to get it set up. But it's global. When we can take a look at this, and I think Fly and Render, which are two other like really specific built PaaSes, they don't have the concept of regions either, I don't think. It's just give me your app and I run it everywhere.
Exactly. I mean, regions will stay because they're physical necessity, but it's all about being transparent, simply global. From the user perspective, it just runs. It's not your problem anymore to figure out whether it should run in Asia or US or Europe. We're not there yet. It will take some time, but that's where we're getting.
Well, and the website for the podcast, we use Netlify for it. We push it to GitHub, there's a hook and it builds, but then it's available through all the endpoints. I'm not having to push it to POPs all around the world. It's just available.
Exactly.
Now, very simple use case, but this is where all of this is heading. In fact, Google Cloud Run, you can already do global, right?
Exactly.
That was a...
But it's kind of what I'm referring. I mean, you can do global with almost everything today. What I'm more referring is that will soon not be a choice. It will not be, hey, you need to check this checkbox to go global or multi-region. You do not need to do this or that. Simply, that's a norm, right? Without you having any checkbox. Just like I expect Kubernetes cluster autoscaler, for example, not to be an optional add-on. It's simply there.
What I want to be able to have happen is I give the provider my code. I give them my container image.
Correct.
And then when a request comes in, it's up to the provider to figure out where that needs to be running. If I get a request in from Japan, I would expect the provider to initially give them whatever's running, whether that's in Japan or not. But that item, once that we saw that request come in from Japan, and after a certain amount of time, it's like, okay, now we need to actually make it live in Japan.
Correct. It should figure out, it should learn from the traffic you're getting and make intelligent decisions.
Without me having to do it.
Correct.
Which is a little scary.
It's
But
not
they're going to
scary.
be able,
That means that you can do other things.
well, exactly. It means I can do other things, which is actually good. But some people will not want to give up that level of control. But let me tell you, your cloud provider is going to know better how to run and where to run your applications than you will ever be able to figure out. Maybe not today, but at some point in the future, that will be true.
That is happening already for a long time, just on different levels. Kind of like we had similar conversations long time ago about VMs. Hey, your provider, now I cannot let provider decide about my virtual machines and the sizes and whether it will be virtual or not. Now, nobody cares anymore. When something becomes mature, then it becomes transparent.
Yeah, I want to call out one more thing here too on the Google Secrets. Secrets Manager now supports auto-expiring secrets, which
Nice.
that's a catch-up item, right? Because pretty much everybody else has that, and they didn't. So lots of updates to Secrets Manager if you're on GCP. But even though this is cool, for people that actually have to manage GCP projects, let me ask you, Victor.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you left a project just sort of laying around and forgot about it?
Without having anything inside of the project?
That, or you left something in it and you just forgot about it?
Never.
Okay, well, you're better
The
than...
reason why I'm saying that is because I tend to have whichever tool I'm using to create my infra and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
That tool creates a project, and
Right.
if I destroy stuff, that tool destroys the project, right?
Correct.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm lying when I said never. Almost certainly a couple of times, but those were the times when I would manually create a project and some other stuff in GCP.
Right. Well, today, like a couple of hours ago now, they announced Unattended Project Recommender. Now, what is this?
Nice.
Well, let's look at the picture here. So personal, prototype, deprecated, hackathon, temp versus the real things. So what it is they've built it into Active Assist, which will give you the ability to discover, reclaim, and shut down unattended projects.
Nice.
So it's automatic. Not automatic, but you can now also export the results for analysis too. So this was just announced in the past couple of hours. If you are in charge of maintaining your GCP accounts and you haven't written your own process yet, this might be worth it. Like in this case, it can look in the organization that has 3 projects. I can clean up project, reclaim project, whatever these things mean. And here's an insights payload. This is going to be for people that are VPC or within GCP. But this is the first shot across the bow, I think, for both Azure and AWS. This has to be simple to do.
Yeah, this is especially useful for those situations where, and I think that those cases are increasing, where part of your company wants something and then operators say, hey, okay, here's a project, use it, right? Kind of like, that's for you, for your team, for whomever. And then those are the things that need cleanup, right? The project running your production system, that's not cleaning up. But giving away playgrounds, oh yeah.
Yeah. And then it also gives you the ability to restore anything that was deleted within the 30-day period, which is good.
Nice.
This model needs to be in every cloud. It's perfect here, but this concept needs to be first and foremost, I think, for all cloud providers.
Nice.
All right. So that just came out today. There's a Cloud Shell tutorial where you can just go ahead and click the one button and off you go. And because it just happened, I haven't had time to play with it at all. So I think this is cool. I've already sent messages to some people I work with that I know they're using GCP, and it's like, hey, I know you've been working on something like this, now it's here. So throw away all your work and use this instead.
Oh yeah, all those cron jobs doing that.
Yeah. A couple of tools this week. Would you have ever thought to use Brew to manage your installations inside of Kubernetes? If you don't know what Brew is a package manager on Mac OS.
Correct.
This is kbrew. So let's look at the example here. Take an example of installing Kafka on a Kubernetes cluster. That means you need cert manager, zookeeper, Prometheus, zookeeper is an operator, then you've got to do a certificate request of Kafka, wait for everything to stabilize, or excuse me, the CR. Create a CR. What's the CR I'm looking for?
Custom resource.
Custom resource, thank you. I see CR and I automatically think certificates. So custom resource. And finally, create a service monitor. This is what you would have to do. But now you can do it with kbrew install Kafka operator. Or when you're installing a rook-ceph cluster. Now kbrew install rook-ceph. And off it goes and does everything. How do you feel about this?
I don't see it much more useful than Helm install. I might be missing something.
Hold that thought. Hold my beer. Because they talk about that. How is it different than Helm or an operator? It's using Helm and operators both under the hood. It's glue code. So it's the wrapper around to do the things. So it's eliminating you having to do all the things.
Yeah. But I'm
Now,
still not sure I see the difference.
They also say here you shouldn't use it for production. Right?
Okay, now we're talking.
But if I need to stand up something quickly and easily, like in this case where I needed to do Kafka, instead of having to do all those things, I can just say brew install Kafka. Okay, now I've got a Kafka cluster running, not production level, but it's running. So I can do my work, and now I can decide where do I want to go from there.
Yeah. But I'm surprised. I'm not using Kafka myself, at least not much, so I'm not sure how it works. But typically, the tools that depend on other tools would package those other tools in their charts, right? So Kafka, like something that needs, I don't know, Zookeeper, normally would include Zookeeper as inside of their charts. Is a dependency or this or that, whatever the. So I'm surprised that there are Helm install of products that do not work if you don't do 17 other Helm installs before.
Right. So.
And if those things, if there are projects like that, then shame on you, on those projects rather than the need for kbrew.
Right. So, and the way they say here, this is not a silver bullet, or we're not claiming this is a silver bullet. So looking at their goals, where's the goal section? Right here. Let's look at what it is meant for. One-step easy install for developers. This is targeted towards developers, tinkerers, those kinds of things. Right? But again, your argument is if the Helm chart doesn't cover it, then the Helm chart is not complete, I guess is one way to say it.
Correct. It also depends. So what I can find this useful is in situations where I say, hey, I would like to see Kafka and I'm using Kafka because they use it. First contact with Kafka, I do not want to go into anything more complicated than absolutely necessary. I want to have Kafka up and running, and that's it. But once I make a decision to run Kafka and I reach production, then for everybody else, they can just as well use the charts that I used in production. And they should.
Yes.
Right? So I'm very much against separating the method of setting up something in production and locally. I think that those things should be the same or very similar. I mean, it's the same, but with few different arguments, kind of small scale type of stuff. So to me, this is more useful. Hey, I want first contact with Kafka. I don't know whether I will ever run it in production.
Right. Yeah, I think first contact is an interesting way to say that. But it follows the standard brew, search, info, install, whatever.
Nice.
If you've never had
that they're honest, that they said
Yeah.
this is not for production, because our stories in this might be using different words, but I think that our stories are the same. This is a playground.
Yeah. And it's nice to have an easy way to get to a playground, because that's not always true.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, one other tool, I know we haven't talked about it before, KTail, is the ability to tail multiple pods in one view. This was not open source. It is now open source. And even though they're showing it here in a UI, it is available for CLI as well, I think. Or did I misread that?
Yeah.
No, it's all visual. It's GTK. So, we've seen this before, right? In the other GUIs, to where they would aggregate the pods?
Yeah, it's not something revolutionary new. It exists in quite a few GUIs. Okay.
I thought it did, but it looks like the way that you drive it is a little different. One thing I liked, which just sort of went by, is you can set time ranges. And I don't remember seeing any of the other UIs allowing you to do that.
But again, this is kind of, in a way, similar to kbrew. I can see how this could be useful in local development, assuming that you ever run multiple replicas of something which is debatable from the very start. I don't think it's happening often. There is no need for that. But let's say that you do that, and then this might be useful. Right. Now, once we reach production, I will be shipping that to Elastic, to Loki, to CloudWatch. And then those tools are already giving me that kind of filtering mechanism. This is filtering mechanism, basically. What it is saying there, I haven't used it, but it's saying basically, give me the logs from all the pods from this deployment type of stuff, or based on these labels.
Yep. So another option there. And then finally, from at least a GitHub perspective, awesome-opa. It's a curated list of all OPA-related tools.
Oh, nice.
All in one place. So no code here directly, but here's the quick links to all the things. Styra Academy, which our good friend Adam works at Styra.
Oh, yeah.
We need to get him back on. And I know one of the guys there that is in sales. So we probably will have to deal with Styra again at some point. Rego policies. That's where I just want to curl up and cry. And then what was the other thing to Dr. Struchet? There was one other thing I wanted to call out. They had a link off to Styra, but oh yeah, it was this one. This was, I thought, was pretty new. Deprecation, just because I thought the name was cool. A set of policies to monitor Kubernetes API deprecations. Like, that could come in real handy in 122.
Yeah.
It's in blogs, articles, data source integrations, ID integrations, which, sure. There's even one for Emacs. Wow. Infra as code, and I think that was it. Oh, I missed this one. Frigo. Alternative REPL implementation for Rigo. Some people have too much time on their hands. And then they go into Styra again. So, and of course, Styra was the one that created OPA, in case you didn't know. And Moz has already said OPA is my favorite. Now, Victor, what was the OPA not competitor? but was comparable to OPA that didn't use Rego. I'm drawing a blank on the name.
Kyverno.
Right.
Yes. Yes. I mean, OPA is extremely powerful and a great choice. A bit complicated, though.
Yeah. And
But
Kyverno was simpler.
sometimes you need that complication. Sometimes you don't. So
Yeah, and Maz brought up here that Styra has free training courses for Rego, but if I
we'll
have
bring
to take
Adam. Now we have to bring Adam.
Yeah. That's true. I just don't know. He'll be I think this will be the 5th time we've had him on.
Yeah, and
everything.
if he changes the company again after Styra, then we have to bring him again. So does it count as you being in our guest if you're in a different company?
Sure. I've made that. I've made that producer decision. Yes, it's still.
Okay. Then.
Doesn't matter though. It's been a while too, so that's that. But this week you did another Uber, not to be confused with Uber. Uber video.
Yes, I did.
Why did you do another one so quickly?
It was not planned. It's just after I published what was the oh my
The
god
one before? Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, which one was before? My mind stopped now. See, I need to write things down.
No, you don't. That's the reason why we have YouTube here.
Yeah,
There's
DevSpace.
Yeah.
DevSpace, so I had no plans to do that last video, but then DevSpace is kind of like, hey, kind of something clicked. Hey, if I actually do this, combine this, and kind of like, that's a good story. Good combination. So, unlike others, so in some other cases, what was the one big before? Yes, the one about crossplane.
Combining Argo crossplane.
Exactly. That was in the works for a long time. The full up life cycle, that wasn't really something I was planning for a long time. It just clicked.
It's amazing when that kind of thing happens, doesn't it? It's like you spent weeks and months getting this one right with Argo CD and crossplane, and then this one probably just sort of like, oh wait, that will actually work.
Exactly. So that's not necessarily literally happening about that, but that's kind of those shower ideas, right? Kind of.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not thinking about it, and then it kind of just clicks.
Yep. So, are you gonna have a video next week?
Yes, I will. It will be about chaos, reigning chaos.
Oh, okay. Or visiting chaos again.
Yes, I'm not sure exactly what it will be yet because I have 2 sets of materials and I'm not sure which one I will use yet to create the final video. So this weekend I will be working on a video and I don't know yet which material I will use.
Okay. Chaos again.
Chaos, reigning. No, I haven't done anything about chaos in that channel. There is a course. We spoke about it quite a few times.
Oh, that's right. You haven't done anything there.
But on the channel, no. And there is an upcoming kind of like, I was kind of fortunate to be included into beta testing of not yet public something. So I don't have NDA, but still, it's a mystery. I'm not sure whether, and it is related to chaos, and I'm just not sure whether that's coming this week or the week after.
Got it. Okay. We got a question from Moz here. Have you made any videos comparing CI/CD as SaaS? He's currently looking for CI/CD as SaaS. I saw not specifically the full thing. Let me look it up here. I saw one, and you haven't done this comparison, and I don't know if we even talked about this.
No, I've never done the comparison of SaaS CI/CDs. I have kind of individual videos about actions, GitHub actions, which kind of is SaaS, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm going to share this right here, which is okay. Concrete.dev, K-O-N-C-R-E-T-E-E, I can't spell it. It's hosted Argo CD. So this is part of it.
This is brilliant, but this is not I really dislike using the word continuous delivery for that. I
I
strongly believe it's not continuous delivery.
No.
It's great. It's absolutely great. I like what they're doing. I haven't had time to try it yet, but as an idea, I love it.
But Argo CD as a SaaS. That's all I'm saying here. That
Yeah,
is partially
exactly,
in alignment
exactly.
with what he's saying, I think.
Yeah. I think it's brilliant, at least for small companies.
Yeah. I can't remember where Moz is at, so I don't remember if he's small or not.
I mean, for big ones as well. So I think
Yeah.
that everybody should be going towards SaaS. Just I see what's happening in the field, and I know that big guys are not yet ready to embrace SaaS beyond. I think that for big guys, SaaS is mostly still limited on cloud provider. Kind of like, yes, I'm using services from AWS, Azure, Google. But for the rest,
Yeah. I want to call out one thing here. Why don't I just deploy in my CI pipeline? And I was listening to Brett Fisher's stream from yesterday, and that same question was asked of him. And basically his stack right now is GitHub Actions and Argo CD. That's his preferred stack right now.
nice.
And he said that you could, but your pipeline isn't going to be able to keep up with what Argo CD can do for you within cluster. It's not going to be the same thing.
Correct.
I mean, could you write something to do it? You probably could. I'm not going to say you can't, but it's not going to work the same. Could you do a Helm install or Helm upgrade, whatever the Helm update? Which one is it? Update or upgrade? Why am I having a hard time?
Upgrade.
Upgrade. You could do a Helm upgrade, but that doesn't mean anything, right?
Yeah.
That only gets you so far.
No, but this text is kind of also misleading. It almost leads you towards thinking that you do not need pipelines for deployments, which is completely wrong. You absolutely, unequivocally, or whatever is the word, need pipelines for deployments. It's just that those pipelines are now pushing changes to Git repos and letting Argo CD or Flux do the synchronization. But without the pipeline, you have no deployments. Unless you manually go and change something, or maybe use some tool that would synchronize it based on you pushing images from pipelines. But nevertheless, you need pipelines if you want to automate those things. Otherwise, Argo CD will do absolutely nothing.
Right. I mean, pipelines are pipelines.
Yeah.
Period. So, all right. And Miles
The
was saying
confusion, I think, is that it's not that tools like this are replacing pipelines. It's just that some of the tasks that pipelines are doing are now different.
Correct.
That's the key.
Yes. I really like how Brett has sort of landed on his combination right now. I mean, if you've got Kubernetes, Argo seems... It's GitHub Actions and Argo CD. That's his combination. And I think for today, that's not a bad combination. Just because, and for a number of reasons. I see GitHub Actions, and there's parts of me that love it and parts of me that go, let me think about that a little bit more. So, but from a hosted perspective, right now, it is one of the best, I think.
I mean, I think it's exceptionally good for the work that I do, videos, because it's simply there. I think it's exceptionally great for the work that Brett is doing, right? And in general, for people who just don't want to spend time installing things. Now, we can enter into a huge debate how useful GitHub Actions are or are not for an established organization. Right? Because then the benefits of just being there are diminished compared to everything else you need to do. Right.
So, Moz, hopefully you're able to find and play around. But if you're looking for SaaS hosted, have fun. Hopefully you're only deploying to cloud I don't remember if you are or not, but if you're only deploying to cloud, hopefully you are sticking with SaaS. And this gets into a thing of a post I saw from somebody that were talking about, should I run my own Kafka? And it was just another argument of, should I run my own Kafka? Should I use managed Kafka in AWS, or should I just use Kinesis? And at the end, the guy said, as of today, you should go straight to Kinesis, ignore Kafka. But if you want to use Kafka, try to use MSK if you can, which is managed Kafka. And if you have no choice, install Kafka yourself. But that pattern is true. Use a service. If you can't use the service, then you got to roll your own. But you had better figure out the true cost of running your own.
Let's say that the service should be the default option. And then you change the default option when you have enough arguments to say the default does not work for me. And those arguments could be, after a while of using SaaS, I realized that there are things that I cannot do with it. Cool, self-manage. Or I realized that the price is not right. Cool. But by default, everybody should be starting with SaaS today, I think, by default. And then thinking whether to continue with it or self-manage.
Yeah. And then,
like, the best thing is simply infrastructure. Kind of like, by default, you're going to use Google, Azure, Linux, whatever, for your infra if you're starting today. And then you think about whether you're going to create your own data center, not the other way around.
yeah. I want to pull this back up. GitHub Actions don't support Bitbucket. So that answer is true. However, think about it. Bitbucket is a Git repository.
Read the first word.
Well, GitHub, yes. Yeah. But you could make it work, because there is a GitHub action that goes in the other direction. I was just looking at it. Let's see if I can find it again. There is a mirror to Bitbucket GitHub action. So there is a GitHub action that will mirror your GitHub Git repository to Bitbucket. But there's no reason why you couldn't say, if I'm using Bitbucket Cloud, that I couldn't mirror that repository over to GitHub and then build from there. It would be ugly. It wouldn't be the right thing to do. If I'm in Bitbucket, specifically Bitbucket Cloud, I would probably at least evaluate Bitbucket, they're just called pipelines, Bitbucket pipelines, at least evaluate it. Because it's right there next to my code. I would have to.
Yeah, because the core idea behind GitHub Actions is that they're triggered by GitHub.
Correct.
It's kind of like the core premise. It's very different from, let's say, Jenkins, where the core idea is that we run something that is triggered by something else. This is GitHub Actions are we are reacting to GitHub events, period. Everything else really depends on contributions. And I would be very surprised if Atlassian would now pour engineering hours to make competitor works with big buckets.
Right. Unless they were going to completely kill off Bitbucket pipelines. Like if they were going to get rid of that product completely.
Yeah.
Then that's a maybe. But that would be a hard maybe.
And even then, kind of, because it's similar to GitLab CI, right? Those products are bundled to the source code repository. And yes, I know that you can use GitLab CI without GitLab code repository, but it's really designed to complement code repository. Same thing with actions. It is designed for GitHub users first and almost exclusively.
I have no problems with Atlassian or Bitbucket, but if you're trying to come up with where most of the SaaS market seems to be going today, that seems to be GitHub Actions, right?
Yeah.
So
GitHub, there is a good reason that people should move away from Bitbucket simply because it is going downwards, slowly or fast, whatever. And that means that, all the other software vendors, they're going to If they need integration with the code repository, it's going to be GitHub first, GitLab immediately, and then Bitbucket one day if I have time, simply because it has such a small percentage of the market right now. Tremendously small.
Yeah.
And that's always problematic. It's very different when you say, I have small market percentage because I'm starting. That's different. But when you say, okay, I've been around for a long time and I'm still not really nailing that market, then that's a bad sign. Go away from Bitbucket most if you can.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be GitHub. GitLab is also okay.
Yep. Okay. And we're almost at the top of the hour. And you probably have another call, right? You just finished a live stream right before this one.
Yeah, I think that I'm done for today. I mean, done from things in my agenda, the things that need to be attended at a specific time.
So it's dinner time. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, I'm hungry actually. Yes, I need to
do that.
Yes.
Moz, you're welcome. Thanks for
Thank you,
engaging
Moz.
with us today. You made us think and made me bite my tongue a few times, which is good. All right, so we should be back next week. There will be a new podcast episode coming out on Wednesday at 6 a.m. Eastern with our friend, I'll go ahead and say her name, Anais.
Oh, Anais.
That one comes out this Wednesday.
She's a true definition. She's a true association with the word rising star.
Yes.
Anais. I mean, truly.
For real.
She's very young and doing some really amazing things.
We should try to get her on a Friday, if she would be.
Live stream? This stream?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do that.
I don't know if she would be comfortable to come in on that or not. She should be.
Why not?
We're nice most of the time, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She knows where I live, so she can always do some damage.
Hunt you down.
Hunt you down. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us live today. If you are still with us here live, go and give us a thumbs up before you leave. If you haven't subscribed yet, go and click on the subscribe, ring the bell, do the things. And we will be back next Friday. Victor will still be in his cave, right? You'll still be in your cave.
Oh, yeah. With hopefully better sound.
Oh, okay. It wasn't horrible today.
Okay, that's good news then.
Yeah, it was fine. So we'll talk to everybody next week. And if you're watching the replay, thanks for watching the replay, especially all the way to the end. And come join us live one day. Usually we're having these around 1 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. CET on Fridays, usually. If you subscribe, you'll know when it happens. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Cheers.